Welcome back to the World Tree. That is Comic Book Nation Season 5. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today are my co-hosts, Matthew Aguilar, Janelle Wheeler, Connor Casey, and we have a lot to do today. We are the only show that does it all for geek culture, as you'll find out by the end of this, and we are the official podcast of ComicBook.com. Guys, what's going on? Happy Friday to everybody. And somehow we've turned into a Marvel show this week because nothing to do but deal with all this Marvel stuff that's happening around us. So we are going to be talking about the Loki finale, the release of the Marvels. We have a bunch of news from anime and gaming. We have a big new comic arc to get to. So, we are the show. We say we do it all for geek culture. Let's prove it. Right at the top, we got to deal with some in real life happenings. Janelle Wheeler, what's going on?
Hey, yes, I am so excited to report, as many of you already know, but that's okay. The SAG-AFTRA strike has officially ended. It ended at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, November 9th, 2023. Let's go. We're very excited. I obviously want to do some more research on this because I want to know what exactly they decided to sign over. But the bottom line is it's done. We can, get out of our COVID habits where we were scrambling for I think we're still going to be scrambling for content a little bit, as we will talk about here in a second. But we'll see. We'll see what all of these strikes did to production. So I'm just going to slide right into the next article, and that is not as exciting for me personally, and that is that Marvel movies are delayed. Womp womp. Their Phase 5 calendar obviously has been disrupted by this, and might be other things we don't really know exactly, but in light of this SAG-AFTRA ending their fun little strikes, which were not fun, they were terrible. We're starting to kind of get some actual dates about things changing. So I think the most important news that you need to kind of note from this is we're only getting one, Marvel film in 2024, which to me is a bummer.
Yeah.
But
there might be a Sony film, but I think we're getting only one.
Right.
Yeah.
Craven.
Yeah.
And Madam Web is still hanging around out there somewhere.
Isn't Venom supposed to be next year too?
There were three, I believe, Sony Marvel movies on deck.
Must be stopped.
Yeah. So Captain America has moved to February 14th, 2025. Thunderbolts has moved to July 25th, 2025. And Blade has changed over to November 7th, 2025. Remember, these are all loose. They change these things all the time. But as of right now, that's what we're getting. And, we better just be really happy with our Deadpool, which I think we will be. But yeah, this is the first time. This was interesting to me. This is the first time since 2012 that Marvel Studios have only one MCU film to release.
Yeah, this will be the third year total that they've ever released just one. The first one was 2010 with Iron Man 2. Second one was 2012 where they just focused on Avengers, and this will be the third year.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
How are you guys feeling about it?
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, as we'll get into, I think I'm in a Marvel malaise. I think a lot of people are, because the reaction to this was
good.
Oh no, and people were like, "Sounds like I need a break. It's about time." So
this whole project needs is a quick break.
Yeah, and I think Deadpool 3 will be pivotal enough to give people stuff to talk about. So I think, and there's enough that, as we're going to get into today, has already been kind of set in motion to get us through at least a year.
What about shows?
What's that?
Shows. Have we gotten any show release updates or anything?
People keep asking for shows. The strike just didn't end. Jim Viscardi's asking.
Yeah.
People, the strike just ended.
I'm just curious because I feel like if now that we have shows to go along with films, it's not as painful when you're not getting all these films that you expected on the docket. If there's one show that comes out,
I mean, we'll have Echo, right?
Echo.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
On Daredevil.
Now you guys need to show that respect to What If season 2.
I love What If, Kofi. I'm with you.
I just want another Werewolf by Night.
Good. Most diamond level fan, Damon Streams points out Echo and X-Men 97.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh.
But there's Echo and there's X-Men 97 coming.
Let's go.
All right, so we're gonna see how it plays out. I think the more interesting note for me is that Sony has a year to shine next year because
they do.
Yeah.
Deadpool 3, there is no superhero movies. DC has nothing. Marvel has just one movie, and there you go.
Sony here, baby. Come on.
This is your year. All right. But we're going to keep an eye on that. It's going to be interesting to see a year without Marvel and all how that goes. So on my front, moving right along, we're not going to get too deep in this. There has been other big news this week. Obviously, we got a Legend of Zelda movie announced. No small thing there. Nintendo going for that next billion with a live action Zelda movie. Yeah, we have thoughts, but we went into a whole breakdown of, what will this movie likely look like? Who could, the cast and crew they are working with and what that implies about it, and a bunch of other questions about what game they will use and everything. We did a whole bonus episode. Be sure to check the Comic Book Nation YouTube page, subscribe to it, check that out because me and one of our gaming experts, Logan Moore, get into all that. I also jumped in with the comicbook.com anime team this week. Nick Valdez and Evan Valentine and I got together and we deep dove through the past, present, and future of Attack on Titan's finale. So we talked all things Attack on Titan. The anime ended this past week, so there was a lot to talk about there, and we get into all that, and that's another bonus episode. That's available in audio and video, so check that out as well. And then Matthew Aguilar, and Jim Viscardi, we let him out of jail so that we could get together and talk about one very good comic, Transformers, and one very mixed bag to not good comic, Marvel's Gods. And so we had a whole comparison episode. So be sure you're checking out the pull list where every week we pull out 2 or 3 big comic books and really get into those discussions deep. Not that we're not going to do that on the main show today because we are, but we have, like I said, I wasn't joking. This is quickly becoming the Comic Book Nation World Tree. We have so much content going all over the place. Be sure to subscribe on audio and YouTube platforms. But there was one thing in gaming. We thought Zelda was going to be the biggest thing in gaming this week. And then Rockstar was like,
hold my beer.
Hold our nitrous. And
hold our nos because we finally
That's
woke up.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting GTA 6. It has been a decade since since GTA 5 finally arrived. We've had GTA Online to kind of hold us over in the meantime. Red Dead 2, one of my favorite games of all time, was obviously its own massive thing, but they are finally getting back to where it all started. GTA 6, we are allegedly getting a trailer next month. Now, does that mean we're actually getting the game sometime next year? Probably not. No. GTA 5's first trailer was in 2011. And we didn't get the game in September of 2013. So you'll have to keep waiting. But this is great news. It's finally, after so many years of speculation, of alleged leaks, of actual leaks, this is something finally concrete. So this is why this was the most gaming tweet ever.
Yeah. All they said is thank you, fans. We're coming. It's GTA. This is real this time from Rockstar. Instant record-setting gaming tweet. Everybody who has clearly been waiting for this. The rumors are crazy. We've heard that it could be a Bonnie and Clyde style story with a male and female protagonist or antagonist. I never know how to say that about GTA. Rumors are it could be coming in 2025 more realistically, but this is the start. It's real. This is really real. This is not some another one of those fan cut trailer thingamabobber rumor leaks. So
it's not just GTA 5 getting ported to another console. Lord knows.
Yeah,
it's real.
One of my favorite meme trends is people putting hey, this was happening when GTA 5 was released. And I've seen everything from this is how the Spurs played during that time to hey, this show was on, I think it was, I can't remember what it was, but it's been so many. It's fantastic. And I forgot that Tim Duncan was still playing.
Oh, yeah.
And Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker were all part of the trio when that game came out. It's just a time warp. I am stoked. I feel like we'll get so much, even if it's just going to be a teaser, right? But I feel that thing will be dissected.
It won't even be. I don't even think it'll be a date. I think we'll get a year, maybe, or coming soon.
Yeah, I think it'll just kind of tease the concept for the game. And
I just need to know the city, and I need to know the time, the time frame. You know what I mean? That'll give me enough to go off.
You need to know the main character or characters if it's multiple. You need to know this, like the setting, the date they're going for. So, yeah, it's gonna be exciting, man.
We need a female protagonist. It's about damn time, Rockstar. Make it happen.
Yeah,
I just want Arthur Morgan in modern day. He got time warp right before consumption took him, and now we're getting him back. I wish.
No, but as this was the like height of excitement, but something we thought should be so exciting seems to not be quite as exciting this week in gaming, which is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is out, and apparently people don't care that much.
Oh no.
Well, they care, but I don't know if everybody's happy with this one. So, yeah.
I mean, the new Mario Kart drop happened yesterday, and I played it. It was super fun.
Yeah,
I think that's a bigger headline. I think that's a better headline than
yeah. The new
Bigger
Mario.
headline.
It was the last and final Mario Kart drop. You can play as Funky Kong, which is like so cool.
Oh, what? That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, everyone's like, hey, Mario Kart, and like, oh, let's just go play more Spider-Man.
And
too.
Mario Wonder is great too.
I'm just waiting on the RPG Super Mario to finally drop. That's next week.
Yes.
It's
My
just,
pre-order
it's funny. It's all the drama surrounding the game that is even more enticing than the game itself. It's all the CEO responding directly to messages, and then the big report coming from Bloomberg about how this thing was cranked out in a year and a half, and like it was an expansion, but then it was a sequel, and then people at Sledgehammer were promised, hey, no crunch this time, but then there's crunch. Like there's so much to this that the game itself is really not important. It's like the least enticing thing to this whole deal. Everything behind the scenes is. And while we're talking about Marvel taking a break, hey, Activision, you should take a Call of Duty break too. I'm sorry. Like, we don't have to have everything annually. Learn from the Assassin's Creed series. They did it and it worked out wonders for them. They stopped the annuals and it made for better games. Like there was a period there where like 3 games in a row were getting trashed. And then we got Origins, fantastic. We got Odyssey, fantastic. We got Valhalla. Valhalla's really good to me. Like, so again, those are all better than the 3 that came before. So it makes a difference. Call of Duty should do the same.
All right. You heard it from Matt himself. That's it on gaming. Well, there's so much going on, but let's talk about what we are really hyped to be here and kind of get into today. Loki's season 2 finale. So we were all wondering if they were going to be able to land this plane. The penultimate episode wasn't bad. There's been no bad episodes, but we were like, okay, for what happens in episode 5, is there enough time to really wrap Loki up in fitting fashion? And I got to say, this was one of the more interesting for me Marvel finales that we've seen. I know we said that about Loki season 1. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this was like Loki season 1 on meth, like with what we did. At the same time, I'll admit, I fell asleep a couple times, like trying to watch this last night, because there's so much conversation you really do have to pay attention to and really be like looking. And if you like nod off for even a second and wake up, you have no idea what the hell is going on in this. You're like, wait, what? And so I did watch a couple times, but I got through it. But yeah, I admire this. I admire what they did in the finale. And we are going to talk spoilers, guys. If you haven't watched Loki yet, I don't know why you're here, but thank you for coming. But yeah, we're going to talk spoilers. Yeah, and even just trying to kind of suss out like what actually happens by the end, if you're not like a deep dive Marvel fan, if you're not reading comicbook.com, which you should, is a little tough. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was overall, people are saying how much they love Loki. There's a lot of praise going on, but I feel like in the end, this was just kind of a very circular season to solve one problem in a workplace. And we went to some pretty far extremes to do that. But overall, I still don't think, and I was looking at this show of being this crucial thing to the multiverse saga, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm still now more confused than ever about like what the hell is going on in the Marvel multiverse, how it works, how it breaks, how it's even shaped at this point is a mystery. So what did you guys think of the Loki finale? Let's go around the room. Matt, what did you think about this? Because you're like one of our biggest comics fans. And so like, how'd you feel about that ending and some of the stuff that was kind of quote unquote revealed?
So last week, I remember we talked about Gen V and we talked about its finale ranking up to the penultimate episode. I came out like, hey, those were tied to me, like as far as like how I was feeling. And then I watched his finale and I feel like this finale puts Loki over the threshold. Like comparing finales, it's no comparison.
No,
Like,
there's
this
no
finale's this finale's fantastic, and I think this finale. It's one of those things, and we'll talk about this when we get to the Marvels too. The MCU-ness of it all, I could give two Fs about. I really could. I just don't care. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care about the like how this has to do with the multiversal thing, what this affects. I don't care. I want a story I'm engrossed in, and what I laud about Loki every time is that it does that with its characters. And in this episode, that final sequence, I don't care what it means going forward. They'll tell me. And then someone will write an article about it and I'll understand it. What it means emotionally, what it means to the character, giving himself and how far that character has come, all of that stuff, and finally having that crowning moment to sit on the throne and be the hero, like all those things, that's what matters. And that ending sequence is like one of the best ending sequences Marvel has put up. I'm sorry, there's that score. This is phenomenal. That whole the effects, my God, like everything comes together in that sequence, and it means something to the character, and that's why it matters. I don't care about the superficial crap. I just care about that, and to me, that's what Loki does supremely well. So in a finale, I think it knocked it out of the park, man. I think, I agree with you. I still overall in the seasons, I probably still like season 1 better as an overall season, but that also probably has to do with, less of the Kang of it all. And that, the Kang that is in there is phenomenal. So overall, I thought they nailed the landing for what it needed to be. I'll figure out all the other crap later.
Janelle, how did you feel? You are like our unabashedly biggest Loki fan.
Yeah, well, first of all, like Matt beautifully said, gorgeous, just bravo, my friend. Yeah, I feel like I was like the one here that just never gave up faith.
Sure.
Like I just knew that this was going to be amazing all the way through, and I've enjoyed it that way the whole entire season. There's only one episode I didn't really care for, and it was because I think Victor Timely is so annoying. But yeah, I am so satisfied with this. I cried. I was so emotionally moved, and exactly what Matt said was absolutely stunning. Just like the glorious, like burdened with glorious purpose. Like this is what he's been saying since we were introduced to him, and this is what this is the weight of what he has to carry. Like he always said he had this, and we were like, what is it? Like, what is your glorious purpose, Mr. Whatever? Like you're so full of yourself. And now we know he does. He's burdened with glorious purpose, and it's just so rewarding as a fan. I'm so excited. Like it just makes me so happy. I definitely couldn't fall asleep during this. But Kofi, my husband, did. So he was also drinking wine. So, but yeah, I feel like as a super fan of Loki and not having context with comic books, it was still so incredibly impactful for me. And especially that final scene when he's walking out there. And I don't know, I watched Phase Zero last night. They tried to break it down. They went into all this stuff with gods and like all of that stuff. And Jim tried to explain what the tree represented. To me, it was the tree of life. I was like, he made the tree of life. I get it. I get the visual. Like instead of it being this weird, like scientific thing, it's actually like natural and like beautiful and green and lovely. And I'm okay with that. So that was my take on that. I was like, oh, it's a tree of life. And he's holding it in his hands. Like it's awesome. Okay, I'll shut up.
Casey.
As an hour of storytelling, I think it works. It's an entertaining 1 hour of television. Does it necessarily fit in with the entirety of the season, particularly those first 4 episodes? Kind of. Let me get back to you on that. I honestly think this would watch best if you watch it from the start of Loki season 1 all the way to this, because the creators have come out and been like, yeah, we saw these 2 seasons as one half of one book, and now we have it in its entirety. I think overall the arc that Loki goes on is great. The ending is where I think it's going to lose some folks because we spent so much of the season trying to explain theoretical physics regarding time travel and multiverse theory and string theory. And then it just kind of becomes Fantasia, where we suddenly just switch to dream logic. And it works because the visuals are great. And Tom Hiddleston is giving it all, his absolute all, in those quiet moments. But does it entirely line up with all of what we had been thrown at us this season? Maybe, not necessarily. If you're going to try and ask me, like, what does it all mean? What is Loki now? What is the god of stories? Couldn't tell you. He's over here being Bob Ross, making a happy little tree, and now suddenly the multiverse isn't dying anymore. I'm okay with that. Does this mean we'll ever see Loki again? I don't have a freaking clue. I don't know if this means we'll ever get a third season of Loki. This seemed like a pretty definitive, hey, he's in this spot now forever. That's his quote-unquote glorious purpose. And he spent so much of the season trying to be selfish, trying to keep everything that he wanted, and ultimately it was a selfless act that gave him the throne that he had been ironically trying to get for so long. So overall, I think it's good. I think the first season by itself is better, but I think this is, if this is the end of Loki as we know it in the MCU, pretty solid.
I mean, it can't be the end. I know everybody said they don't really care about the larger multiverse saga of it all, but we do gotta kind of talk about that a little bit, right? Like, what do we think is going to happen?
You ask, like, does this matter in the grand scheme of the MCU? Spoilers for the Marvels, but we're on our 5th, hey, we broke the multiverse. Has any of it mattered? No. Has one ever affected the other? No. So why would this one?
No, I mean, I think this is the end of Loki as a series as we know it, with Loki at the center. I don't know if it's the end of the TVA. I know they'll probably be back in Deadpool. I know that Tom Hiddleston will probably do one more, like Kang Dynasty and or Secret Wars. He'll show up, obviously. Like, at some point, if all the Kangs are trying to mess and make their own reality, they got to address the guy who's holding everything together right now. Right. And there's got to be Thor just be like, walk by and be like, okay. Like, and he's just in here and like,
hello, brother. I'm a tree
like, hello.
now.
Yeah. And he's like, well, not
for the Thor impression.
He's
like, yeah, like,
Thor
there's got to be some kind of funny scene between him and Thor trying to have a conversation, and him being like, well, I'm not your brother. Kind of like, yeah, you know, it's complicated, but
timey-wimey.
Yeah, it's got to be a surprise for the other Marvel heroes to find at the center of, you know, reality.
I don't think Loki's gone. I
don't want him to be gone.
Yeah.
So
but
I heard, go ahead.
It would be what Connor said. It would be a perfect exit for it. Would be
I think
him the
yeah. No, I mean, for like Tom Hiddleston really digging deep into this character, it feels like this was the culmination. This was it.
Yeah.
And like this was his transformation.
No!
He's taken this character further than anybody could have ever imagined in 11 years.
Including this person. Yes.
So like he was just supposed to be a bit villain for like, I don't even remember if he was originally in Avengers. I think like, I can't remember this history. I've been doing this too long, but he was supposed to rap by Avengers and people loved him so much. They just kept bringing him back. And so, but I think he is done. I think he's done as much as you can possibly do with a Marvel MCU character. I don't know if there's ever going to be a character arc that's more dynamic than this. So if he's done, like, that's good. Get your flowers and Secret Wars where you get to show up, and instead of Loki kind of starting off the thing that like leads Thanos to destroy everybody, he can be the one who saves everybody this time. And that'll be a perfect ending to his character.
I can't think of a better ending in the MCU for him than
and there's still Sylvie, right? Like you still have Sophia De Martino, so you have ways to keep Loki going, but you know, without Tom Hiddleston. Other elephant in the room, what did you guys think? Because I know, Connor, you were particularly kind of critical of like Jonathan Majors' performance as like Victor Timely when it started, but how did you guys feel about seeing him back as who remains in this version of it, now that we got, you know, a more extensive kind of character dynamic from him as he who remains? And how do you feel about his performance overall? Because I thought it was hilarious when there was one moment where he who remains like makes fun of Victor Timely and then like his stutter, and it's just like, you know, it does add layers to it of what he's doing now when we look at each character when he begins to like reference himself and stuff. But how'd you guys feel about this version of He Who Remains?
It was less. So much of the finale of the first season was him. Hey, go nuts, chew scenery, stand on desks, wave your arms, go nuts. With Victor Timely, it's stutter, be a little bit more diminutive, ask a ton of questions because you don't know what the hell's happening. This is Kang kind of distilled to his ultimate form, which is I know everything. I have every possible outcome thought out ahead of time. There's nothing you can do. I love the trick that they do. It reminded me of Edge of Tomorrow, where it even plays with the audience expectations of, oh, you don't know how many times Loki has done this.
Yeah, that was.
You don't know how
I had to
times.
watch that twice because I didn't get it at first. I was like, wait, what?
He's like, how many times have we had this conversation? How many times have we had this conversation? And Loki's like, I'm not saying.
Yeah,
That was fun. I heard an interesting theory because I was listening to some reviews this morning. Loki basically bypasses He Who Remains' need to oversee all of time now. Could this be the way Marvel just kind of writes Kang out of this?
I don't know. Oof.
Like the only thing that's making Kang be the ultimate villain of the next Avengers movie is the title. They can change the title.
Yeah, I don't know. Oof. That's kind of a. I don't know. What do you think they would do instead of that? Would they
Doom?
Doom, yeah. I mean, Doom trying to secure the throne from Loki is something that would definitely fit with Marvel Comics line.
Plus, if you're going to do Secret Wars, the more recent one of those, Doom plays a pretty big old role.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. Yeah. Doom doing that. If you want to make that switch.
Yeah, but how do you do Doom without, so when is F4 supposedly coming?
F4 is allegedly first?
Yeah, okay. I think it's supposed to come before.
So if you can wrangle that, I don't know. I don't know if this was in the works before. Like, I don't think that was the intent by any means, but could it be a possible retcon of like, hey, let's just use this to pivot? Like, yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah, I mean, it just becomes a villain realizes that the sacred timeline has now been altered. There's now a person holding it together. All you got to do to get all the power over reality is take out that person and supplant yourself on the throne. And who would do that? I could say Doom doing that.
Like, Doom loves himself a throne.
Yeah.
Boy, if they pulled that off, that would be the big, like, if they were able to pull that off, my word, and then knock it out of the park, get Doom in, get F4 in, and then like keep on track. Would that be like one of the most impressive cinema pivots of all time?
That's also the thing about the MCU as a whole is that their ability to change direction quickly without the audience even noticing is kind of their secret weapon.
Yeah, phase 1 and 2, I can tell you right off the bat, that happened a million times.
None of that, if you watch that, is leading to Infinity War.
No.
Like they change course multiple times from movie
Incredible
to movie. They just make the change so nebulous that you can't tell.
Now, granted, I don't think that's the easiest fix. Just recast. It's not hard.
I don't even think it's a matter of, hey, we don't want Jonathan Majors because personal stuff. I think it's hey, this story isn't working and people aren't connecting to it.
And Kang may not be the person that was going to carry the whole franchise like they thought. I mean, I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to wait and see, but I could see them. I mean, the more we talk about this, I think it would even be, in some ways, it would be the most exciting thing to happen in the MCU in years if, for once, like we see Kang about to do something, grab the ultimate power, about to kick off this reality, and then he just gets fried from behind. And it was just Doom lurking, being like, I've been waiting for this moment. And then we get a surprise, like everybody would be thrown. It'd be the most kind of buzzworthy turn we've had in the MCU in a while. So we'll see. Time has all those variations and possibilities. We'll see which one we get.
Oh, way to bring it full circle there. There you go.
I will say Owen Wilson. This has been the best Owen Wilson thing that I've seen him do in years.
Didn't ride a jet ski. I'm so mad.
I'm not. I mean, he like that whole ending with him was some pretty powerful stuff for the MCU. Him like looking at him playing with his boys and saying, I'm going to hang out here for some time.
Let time pass.
Yeah, let time pass. Like, that got me. That got me right there. I was like, all right, that's pretty good stuff from the MCU. Anybody else have any parting thoughts with Loki? Is this everybody's now favorite Disney Plus series?
Yes. It was number 2 behind WandaVision. Now it's number 1. And also just tons of love to Tom Hiddleston for just doing the most spectacular job in this role. Like that's what I just unbelievable.
What was mine? I think mine was Hawkeye when we did our last ranking.
Yeah, I think you're Hawkeye.
I think mine was Hawkeye, and for all the reasons I love Hawkeye are kind of like are just very different from why I love Loki, and I don't think this changed that. I think Hawkeye's still my favorite. I mean, it's just that show's so fun. I just love that show.
I think I still like WandaVision the best, but this is a very close second. Like, yeah, it's a very close second.
I wasn't allowed to rank, but yeah, Loki was my favorite. Although I remember coming on that episode and yelling at you guys because Werewolf by Night was on nobody's list.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that was a big miss. Yeah, go see that.
Treesus. That's right. Yes, it was.
It was okay.
I was the one. I was Hawkeye. All right, cool.
All right. Well, that's it for Loki season 2. We'll get back to you. Will the MCU Disney Plus continue? ... We will see you in 2020 something. Echo. We'll see you back here for Echo, I guess, to talk about more MCU TV. Whew, that's going to be a very different experience. I can't wait for that. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we got back, we got to talk about the Marvels.
Oh.
We got to get into the Marvels. We got to talk about some new comics, some new anime, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Comic Book Nation, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of comicbook.com. We just ran through a bunch of big news of the week, plus we deep dove into Loki Season 2's finale. We are now going to talk about the new Marvel MCU movie release, The Marvels. And we're going to talk about this whole movie, but we're going to do so with the courtesy of knowing that a lot of you guys probably haven't been out to see it yet. So we're going to do this tricky thing with me, Matt, and Connor Casey talking about the movie, but not mentioning anything specific. You guys think we can handle that, everybody? You guys are pros, right?
I will walk this tightrope.
Matt, you good?
That's great.
Oh, he's muted, but he said, yeah. He had like a real snappy
there
response.
you go. Hey, there I am. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
All right. So The Marvels. There's been a lot, obviously, about this movie just even before it was released. Kind of what is going to kind of happen in the movie, you know, whether it was being kind of unfairly pointed to and labeled as a failure before it even released. People were hanging on everything about director Nia DaCosta, whether she had abandoned the movie or not.
The trailers
are all cost.
The trailers are all over the place.
Yeah, the trailers are all over the place.
This got nothing to do with the movie.
Nope. And yeah, it looked like there was just this hint of desperation in the marketing of it. They went from the team up, the trio, then the actor strike happened, and it was like Captain Marvel 2, everybody. You know that. And then they had a final trailer where they were just like my boy Eric Bana in Star Trek, where they were just like, fire everything, the cameos, the teasers, do it all. And they just pushed it out there. I didn't even watch that. I was like, guys, I don't like desperation trailers. But I think as I tweeted when I went to see the Marvels, I don't know. I feel like there's just been this whole WNBAing. I've thrown that term out several times this year. And if you don't know what that means, it's this weird phenomenon that I just see with the WNBA where people are like, these like top-notch athletes are somehow not as interesting to watch. So we should not give them as much, credit as the NBA. And it's like, no, they are really good athletes and they play some really exciting games and they're growing now and people are beginning to figure that out. But I feel like we do this with female-led properties a lot. I feel like we spent a whole 6 weeks of Star Wars Ahsoka kind of discussing this and dealing with this whole, how could Sabine learn to use the Force so quick? How did Luke Skywalker learn enough to blow up the Death Star in under like a couple hours? What are you guys talking about? Oh, because he was the chosen one? Did that teach him to fly when he'd just been hanging out on Tatooine all the time, just racing, little mud skippers and stuff? Like,
well, Anakin was the chosen one, but let's not get into that.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But the point was like, the rules don't seem to hold consistent between these two hero archetypes. I think there's a lot of that with the Marvels. I think a lot of people are just like, oh, it's such a big mess. This is no more messy to me than anything from Marvel Phase 4 and 5. It's better than Quantumania, in my opinion, hands down. But it's not as good as like Black Panther 2, which was powerful for all kinds of different reasons. Mm-hmm. And maybe not. But it's just Shang-Chi gets a little silly at the end with the dragons and stuff. But like, it's no more silly or nonsensical or with a thin plot or villain than any of the other movies I've seen in the last few years. I mean, and it makes more sense than Thor, Love and Thunder, let's be honest. So in that sense, I kind of was like, I already like started off in the beginning of the movie is actually really well done, I think. I think there's not enough credit to how difficult this concept was. The whole entanglement and switching places, the editing challenges for that, the continuity challenges for that. Like if you're making a film, this is a difficult film to make. And I could understand how Nia DaCosta was probably banging her head against a wall, just kind of keeping track of the dailies of who's where, who's moving where, scene to scene, where they're supposed to end up, plus the larger Marvel stuff they got to get shoehorned into here and all that. But the beginning is enjoyable. It's shot. I like the way we get introduced to each of the ladies and their stories and their world. It's I think Nia DaCosta is a good director in terms of like just visuals and colors and capturing stuff like that. And then, like I said, the entanglement stuff is fun at the beginning. There's a lot of humor. There's a lot of laughs about it. Like Kamala's family is great in this. Like there's a lot to love. Where it gets weird is by like the second act into the third act. It gets real thin. Things just start making sense. I think that third act battle is just one of the most nonsensical ones I've seen, where at this point people are just teleporting somewhere and then just flying back into the screen. And there's no logic to this anymore. But like I said, overall, it's just, there's this feeling I get with Marvel stuff now where it's just like, okay, turn my brain off, fun, popcorn, entertainment. And that's where I am. It used to happen with summer blockbusters a lot. It's happening now with these. And I'm not too mad at it. It's just kind of like mid. I was happy to be back in an MCU movie. And I was happy to be back in one that was, this is a dreaded 3-letter word, but fun. It was fun. That's what it was for me. I really had no dog in this fight. I'm always kind of neutral. I've really liked WandaVision and Miss Marvel. I liked Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, but I thought they kind of really, I've made no secret about this, me and Matt. I think they did her dirty with that first movie in the angle where she had to kind of have no personality while being a personable heroine. I don't know. But so I was just kind of like not moved either way. But I'm kind of curious to hear what Matt says, because I know, Matt, this was like one of, if not your most anticipated or hyped for these kind of upcoming slate of Marvel movies. So how did you feel, buddy?
Yeah, it's I think it's actually, there's been some great comments. Jim Viscardi even piped in with a WWE comment, which is not wrong. It's not wrong at all. And that's honestly, so I don't find fun to be a dreaded word. I think it's that's kind of what it's funny. Kofi sent me a message and he said, boy, this film feels like it was focus tested for you. And I went, and going into the movie and afterwards I went, yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what it was. This was made for people like me. I thought this was so fun. It's what I wanted when this trio was first announced, that they were going to be in a movie together. That's what the heart of this movie is, right? It's those three characters bouncing off each other. And for those who read Carol in the books, and Janelle will attest, it's like half the fun of that character is actually playing her against other characters of other types, and that's what makes some of the endearing qualities of Carol come out. And so that's what this movie was always going to kind of hinge on. And so that is fantastic throughout the entire movie. I've seen silly bounded about, and it's funny. I mean, like, dragons and like some of the other things in like Shang-Chi, it's like, oh, that's part of the character. Like that's the comic bookness of it.
Catching strays today, guys.
No, I'm saying, but that's what Kofi mentioned, but that's the comic bookness of it. Like that's not silly to me. That's part of the character. That's intently like, we got an Asgardian walking around with a giant hammer as his weapon. Like that's stupid on paper, but like that's awesome. That's part of the character. That's why they're fun. And that's why we can come to these worlds. And so for those moments in this movie, I've seen that word bandied about a lot. And like those were great. I love the lighthearted moments. I love the kind of not afraid to not take itself so seriously at one part. Yes, no, to the shock of no one. I love the Flurkins. I adored those scenes. But like the heart of this movie was always going to be those three characters, how Carol and Monica dealt with things, how Kamala bounces off those characters so well, and the shit. Amon is just fantastic in that role. And so all three shined because of that, and that's what I enjoyed about it. And the biggest letdown is the villain for me, and it's kind of one of those things that like I get tired of Marvel. It used to be looked at as a strength. Marvel would like take these obscure characters, like characters that don't even get a next page on the Wikipedia. You know what I mean? Like characters that have that little history, and they pick them, and then they go, "We're gonna do something with this," and then it's like they don't though. Like they don't do anything supremely interesting with them. And I go, you could have picked multiple characters from Carol's like rogues gallery and like done something with that and twisted it and had some fun with it. And then you didn't. And I don't understand that. There's just part of me that's like, I get wanting to bring another character up, for lack of a better word, but like, I don't know. I just don't get it. And they fell flat because that character doesn't really have anything to do with Kamala currently. It doesn't have anything to do with Monica. It doesn't have anything to do with Carol. Like that's you know what I mean? Like now, like in our current, like last decade or whatever. So I don't know. I agree with Treeses here. Like, what are you saving the rogues for? Like, I don't like for Captain Marvel 5? Like, I don't get it. Like, why do you do that? So that's a problem with Marvel overall. Like they do that consistently, and I just kind of wish they didn't. Like just put the biggies out and then dig later. It just doesn't make any sense.
Like I doubt how many people can even leave this movie and know the name of the villain.
Right. And I don't blame them. It's like there's just nothing. There's nothing there. The reason I love those fights, because I really dig some of the fight scenes. I thought some of the effects, like especially towards the end, some of the more heart-wrenching moments, I thought those were really well done. But you could have put 10 other people in that role fighting them, and it wouldn't have changed anything. It's like, oh, just give them a hammer. Like, who cares? So like, there's parts that frustrate me because they hold it back from something it could have been. But the parts I was going for are great, and we'll get into like, the post credit and other stuff later. So I'm not going to touch on that right now, but I'm just saying as a movie, I really enjoyed it, and I came away kind of getting what I wanted. And so, I understand critiques and stuff. I agree with Kofi. I mean, look, this movie, the first movie, came under fire as soon as, a white woman said, oh, hey, we need more people of color and women in our critics consensus, and a lot of people didn't like that. And to them I say, go kick rocks. I don't care. Like, I want more me in there. I want more Kofi. I want more Janelle. Like, I want people in that. It doesn't have to all look the same way. So you people don't like that, screw you. I like it. And the minute she said that, she came under fire, and so did that movie. So ever since, it's been that, and it was going to be like that for the Marvels. And lo and behold, it is. So just kind of putting there like it is.
I agree with almost everything you said, except I do take one issue, and I think there's a good segue into what Connor might feel. But I feel like this movie did have a Martha moment that made me cringe, where there is a big, like you said, with Monica and Carol and that story
Yeah.
I feel like the actual climax of that emotional subplot really didn't work for me. I was just like, oh, I was like,
You
ooh,
can't
this-
compare anything to Martha, though. I'm sorry.
No.
I get it. It might not delivered, but there is nothing that rivals
There
Martha.
is a line in here that
It's
yeah,
not
there's a lot-
Martha. I know what line you're talking about. It's not Martha.
It's not
Sorry.
Martha. It's not Martha, but there is something about like waiting. I didn't like I needed just you or something like that. There is a line like that that fell just like as hard of a dud for me. But we're taking up time. Connor, you've been patient. You've been quiet. You look like a Zen monk over here. I'm so curious about what you were about to say about this movie because I asked you for one reaction while we were on the break, and your reaction, I stopped. I said, "Stop. That's enough."
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear you cook. Go ahead.
Okay, you used the term Marvel malaise earlier, and I think that's appropriate. This is if not for Iman Vellani and her family, which were the undisputed highlights of the Miss Marvel show, this would be a D plus. It's a C minus,
Like a D plus series?
No, like
I'm
it's
just
a D
kidding.
plus on a grade because I know y'all are. I know y'all don't love my grades, but I'm giving it. It's a D plus, if not for that group. That group bumps it up to a C minus. There's a lot to like about this movie. That group is the big reason why. I've seen a lot of complaints about the more silly aspects of this. There's a particular planet that has a gimmick that I actually didn't hate.
I went to the bathroom during that part, and I was so happy for it.
It's the part everybody hates. I'm like, look, I think if James Gunn taught us anything, it's that if you're going to go out into space, make it goofy. Everything's different. Go nuts. Have fun with it. There's also a sequence involving a lot of cats that a lot of people also complained about. I also didn't mind that much either. It's when this movie really tries to get serious with the Kree and Skrull. Guys, this thing has been going on since Guardians 1 in 2014, and I've never cared about any of it. The moment the Skrulls pop back up, I go, oh, Christ, we're back in Secret Invasion. It's the galaxy's punching bag over here. Who wants to see them all get wiped out again? They do, and I feel nothing. That's a problem. The whole entanglement thing, there's a sequence when it first starts happening. That's a lot of fun. I feel like every other scene after that, it was, okay, we needed something to stop Carol from just wiping everybody out in 2 minutes, so let's make it harder for her to fight. That's it. The rest of the fights were not that impressive. The final fight looks like it takes place in the green screen of a space-themed conference room. It is boring, and I've never been so bored with a final fight in a Marvel film. The villain, Malekith, congratulations. You're no longer the lead.
Wow.
Congratulations. Round of applause.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
Not wrong.
It's not performance. This got killed in the editing bay because it is so obvious that there is like a 5-minute sequence that was meant to be the start of this movie that not only gave her motivation, but gave Carol actual guilt and pathos and motivation for why she doesn't just go back to Earth. Because she messed up. She thought she was doing the right thing and she didn't. And she created one of her own villains in the process. That would have been interesting. Instead, they took that sequence, and you can tell it was an actual sequence because there are some establishing shots where you go, you wouldn't do that if it were just a flashback. You would do that if it was an entire scene. They took that, diced it up, made it part of it a flashback and part of it just Carol explaining people to the other two in a wheat field what's going on and say that's enough. This movie got, in a lot of ways, this movie got killed in the editing bay. Some of the CGI doesn't really hold up, especially as the movie goes along. Sam Jackson, there is no way in hell that is the same character as Secret Invasion.
No, I was going to get into that.
That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but it's all punchlines.
This movie,
oops, all quips.
This movie has killed any belief I had in any kind of continuity between Disney Plus series and these movies. It is insane. There is nothing. This movie makes me hate Secret Invasion even more because there's nothing in that show that matters in the least towards this movie. Like, it's not a spoiler to say that, like, even the stuff with his wife does not mean a single thing in this movie. I was baffled by that. I was like, I could not get over that. I was like, there's nothing. There's nothing in here about him and his wife. Nothing. And everything. Like, yeah. the Nick Fury from this, if you tell me later that one of these Nick Furies was a Skrull, I'll be like, oh, that makes sense.
It's honestly very obvious that they wanted Ronan back again, and they were like, "Oh crap, he died in Guardians." Here's another one. She's
because
also
we killed him. Because we
grill.
kill all our best villains.
Yeah,
It's like
in
we're
one movie.
and a grill where it looks like she's been chewing bullets, and that makes her interesting because she's got these shoulder pads that look like it was supposed to be CGI for something else, and it's just placeholders. Christ on a stick, that character. Okay, this movie is enjoyable at times, which is why it's not the worst of Phase 4 and 5. It's not the worst MCU thing. It's not the worst thing that's come out this year. Hi, Quantumania. But last week I said the best things that have Marvel on the front from 2023 are Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2, and Guardians 3. This movie does not change that fact.
All right. And I just want to be clear, like, we are not beating up on Zawe Ashton, who plays.
No, she's fine.
Yeah, she's actually really good in her performance.
She's just given nothing to
She's
do.
actually scary, and you can tell she's convicted, her conviction, and she's a good villain in that she's trying to help her planet, and she's got to hurt other people, but she's like, screw it, we got hurt, we're gonna hurt you. And so, like, I actually think she did a good job as a performer. And her name is Dar Ben, if you want to remember.
They just gave her, they gave her
nothing.
That from inception, that character. Yeah. Like there was 2 pages missing from that character's bio. They just went with it. Like I don't know what they did with that.
No, and there's a lot of things. There's a lot of lore that just feels like it's. I mean, for all the theories, and I think this is where I'm getting into the MCU. Somebody's been writing MCU theories for years. Like we've had theories about quantum bands, all this stuff, blah blah blah, and it's just kind of like, there's 2 of them. Yeah. All right.
Where's the other one? Some girl from Jersey's grandma had it in a box.
There's a lot of this movie that does hinge on long sleeve flannel shirts saving the day.
So here's the thing, though. I think that's I don't think that's I agree. It's a symptom in the Marvels, but I think that's a MCU problem that I feel like I've been talking about a long time now. Those teases used to get people hyped in back in Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3. Even Phase 3, like it was starting to wane because like a lot of people were wrong. Like it was becoming more and more of like you were starting to guess the thing that wasn't going to happen. But in Phase 1 and Phase 2, and then like half of Phase 3, it was really like those things were enough. It used to be like one little crumb was enough to kind of get people really excited for the next thing. And out over time, it's the same with anything, right? Like your tolerance changes and you need more of that thing to have the same effect. And they're still giving out crumbs. They haven't adjusted to inflation. MCU needs to like raise the thing because those things aren't
doing your taxes today or something.
I'm saying like look, man, real life's on my mind. Like this is like that stuff's not holding. So like they need to adjust and they haven't. And so like, yeah, it's like, oh, that thing is supposed to be a big mic drop. And it's not because we've already been saturated with so much. I mean, it goes back to our earlier thing. I think the pause is good, but I think it's for these reasons. I think it gives them time to reset. And so when they actually put those things out there, they matter. They get you excited again. This little thing of like the second one's there, like duh. Like who makes one bracelet? You know what I mean? Like you're gonna wear 2, they're gonna be matching pair, like duh. Like we knew.
Oh man, commenters, I'd have no idea that Tom Hiddleston is married to Zawe Ashton.
Yeah,
engaged, and they have a child together.
Oh, boom, Janelle, thank you.
I'm sorry,
what did you say?
Engaged and have a child together.
Oh, well, there you go. Boom.
Very
no
cute.
Wonder they're both getting those Marvel checks this week. They got that baby on the way. They're like, yeah, all right, gotta get.
And it makes me feel bad because she's being like criticized as, you know, the villain, not specifically her, but her character, and then he's being like super praised at the same time.
Right, that sucks. Yeah, and it's not her. It like Kofi said, it's really not. No, it's like not at her at all.
No, she's a real act. Like she's an actor's actor. Like yeah. And she was good in this. Like I said, I was scared of her with that hammer, but I was just like, they don't do anything to make this villain memorable. So,
yeah,
you know, she got in, she got a good check out of this. I hope, you know, good You need crib money and all that good stuff. So
Jim
I
has
hope
a really good
that-
comment on this. That's really well said. Jim has a really good comment. He said the post-credit scenes were their own ongoing MCU subplot. And those post-credits are like sprinkles that land on the floor and not on the cupcake.
Yeah, let's talk about them because I saw a tweet that I really liked, and somebody said they were just giving a non-spoiler review of this movie, and they talked about the post-credit scenes and the ending, and they said there's an ending scene and a post-credit scene, one that's super exciting and one that's super desperate in that order. And I was like, wow, okay. And I was like, yeah, I actually get that. There is one that's super fun and exciting, and again, tailored specifically for Matt. And then there's one like super kind of desperate and just feels like we tacked on some stuff.
I didn't even stick around for the end of the final one. What was it?
Oh,
we can't say it right now.
Can't say it right now.
Okay.
But yeah, it builds on like what happens post the climactic moment of the film and like where that all resolves, or in a tease. And so yeah, and I felt that way. The one at the ending, I really liked. I really enjoyed that because it's a play on Marvel history in a funny way, and they use the right people for it. And they instantly have sold what they're setting up.
Yes.
Just on that interaction, right? A simple interaction that makes me go, I'm already in for this, like already. So that was very well done. The second one, holy God.
And that wasn't even the post credits though. That was just part of the movie, right?
No, that's the ending. There's an ending.
Yeah,
and a
that's the ending. Yeah.
The post credits is just the sound of Flurkins.
That's what I was like. What's the end?
Oh, the end one is just the sound of Flurkins.
I saw the mid credit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was like, you missed it.
No.
Right.
I knew about that. In fact, my theater was empty, so I started singing, "Oh baby, I hear the blues are calling" as soon as he walked in.
Okay, but we were So it's. I don't know, man. Everything about that mid-credit scene was off. The costuming on the character we saw was off. It looked like bad cosplay at Comic-Con. The other character that we got, like Marvel, what is going on sometimes with them doing like CGI characters at the end?
Why did the makeup from 15 years ago look better?
I don't know, but like
we're getting too into spoiler territory, guys. Jesus,
I could have seen this last night if you really wanted to.
We said we weren't. We can't.
We're trying to do non-spoiler, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. But there's a lot of questions about that and a lot of speculation from like trying to just keep the surprise, all that stuff. If people saw production, anyway, it has just again, and with Loki this week, it has thrown us into a realm where I have more questions than answers about this multiverse saga and how this is all going to play out. So
there's a great line from Spider-Verse where Peter B. Parker says, "You say multiverse and my brain dies." I'm getting to that point now.
Yeah. And this is not the way I expected to formally get into this, but here we are. And this was a weird place to do it. And Marvel's got to work on these post-credit scenes, I think. I think if we don't need to do them, we don't have to do them.
Can we make them special again?
Yeah, exactly. Just the ending of this as the ending would have been dope. And like we would have all left like, hey, like that's awesome.
Yeah, that's all you needed, man. I don't know.
My problem was I sat back and I thought, okay, we all saw Multiverse of Madness. So you're expecting us to pop for this again.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, this means nothing. Congratulations. You've already established a couple times over who she's dealing with. Does it actually gonna matter?
No, probably not. We're gonna see. But any final thoughts on the Marvels? We're starting to get people are starting to track us down on what we're saying here in the comments.
So it's time I wonder why. You made it so subtle. Anyway, let's move on.
Let's go. Let's move on. All right. But that's the Marvels. Okay, let's just give it an ultimate. Do you think people should see this in theaters? Do you think it's waiting for Disney Plus? Connor.
Wait for Disney Plus.
Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, go see it. Easy.
I'm actually going to say go see it. Just go have fun at a Marvel movie. Let's all take the pressure off. These don't need to change the world. We don't need Endgame every time. You guys are going to have to come off that dope high and just get used to just having little blips of fun, you know? It's okay. So I say go see it.
Dune 2 was supposed to come out this week. I'm pissed.
That's in another reality that we are not living in. All right, moving right along. Our second episode of Invincible was out this week. I felt it was a little bit more complicated to dig into. It's a very dense episode. I wrote the recap, and it took me like 2 hours to write a recap for this episode because so much happens and it's so deep. We're not going to go too much into it because we released a whole Invincible recap episode last night. As soon as these episodes are dropping, we have a recap video and a recap article to go with it. Be sure to go check that out on Comic Book Nation YouTube. But I know that, Connor, you are like, it was just me and Logan Moore, so I don't know if anybody here has any strong thoughts about Invincible Season 2, but you got a little tiny window of time to express it.
So this episode reminds me why Kirkman's series went on for as long as it did, especially past the big plot twist of Omni-Man, because that in the book that only happens like issue 10. So this showcased how Kirkman had so many different ideas for a superhero world, and he would just throw all of them at you one after another. Sometimes they would come back 70 issues later. Sometimes they would immediately take effect. Sometimes they'd never come back, and you never knew which was which. So getting ideas like Midnight City, the people down in Atlantis, which is played in the comic very differently, all the stuff with the Immortal, like there's so many really interesting ideas that Kirkman was able to throw, and I love that they're translating well onto screen. So solid episode. You can't really say, oh, this is the episode where blank happens, because like 5 things happen.
Yeah, I had to watch it twice just to remember everything that actually happened.
I was confused. So of the episode, I thought it was great. It was just confusing. Wasn't really following.
Goes back and forth all over the place. There's like there's like multiple concurrent storylines that keep going throughout the episode. It's a lot. Logan Moore, who did the recap episode with me, we've seen all 4. He said this is the weakest of the 4, and that's not saying it's a weak, but it is the weakest of the 4. That's so cool. Strap in for what happens in the next 2, and be sure to keep up with our Invincible recaps if you are a fan. Nice. Another quick thing I want to highlight for the anime team. We did Attack on Titan, but that's over. What is something new coming down the line? We didn't expect to get a hot new anime, but we did. We got 2 samurai epic animes over on Netflix right now. And I asked the anime team yesterday, to give me the kind of temperature of the room of which one's more popular. And they said this one is, and that is Blue Eye Samurai, which is now showing on Netflix. Blue Eye Samurai is this kind of CG animated anime about a very unique samurai protagonist with blue eyes, who's half white, half Japanese, and it is unexpectedly spectacular.
Oh, that looks gorgeous. Watching the trailer right now.
It's so gorgeously drawn. By the time you hit episode 3, and episode 3 is just this classic samurai versus this group of assassins coming after samurai battle. It is so amazing. And it's very much adult. There is like nudity, ultra hard violence in this. It's also, but much more digestible than your usual anime. It's very much a westernized kind of Netflix style anime. But like you can see, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. There are a lot of interesting character turns and kind of layers to each character that you find out as the series progresses. And I'm almost done. There's about 8 episodes, I think, and I'm on I think 6 or 7. But yeah, this is one of the best samurai ninja kind of epics that I have seen in years. And this stuff is becoming mainstream. I mean, we got this. Awesome. We got another samurai anime we're going to talk about right now. We got FX's Shogun coming. And yeah, this is from, I believe, Derek Connolly, is it? Who did this? The writer of Logan. So the writer of Logan did this, and it very much feels Logan-ish. And Blue Eye Samurai, I did not see this one coming, but
Andrew pointed out that I was watching in real time.
What's that?
It's like, that looks, I will binge the hell out of that. I will binge that and talk about it.
It looks like Mulan mixed with like season 5 Samurai Jack.
It is. That's not a bad. It's not a bad comparison, and it's not bad to look at it like that. But the action and just the kind of reverence for samurai culture and sword fights and things like that. It's beautiful. It's action packed. It's exciting. I highly recommend, if you are just kind of looking for something counter to Marvel programming this weekend, you sit down and start this one up. And if you like this one, for all you gamers out there, you can also check out Onimusha, which is also out on Netflix, the adaptation of those video games as a kind of samurai epic by none other than Takashi Miike who's doing Onimusha. So it's Onimusha the Games as reimagined by Takashi Miike. And if you don't know who that is, like Ichi the Killer, 13 Assassins, which has come up again. And I've been watching 13 Assassins because it's such a good movie. Another samurai epic. But yeah, Onimusha's out there, but people are kind of a little bit more split about that because the gamers aren't necessarily liking this adaptation of it because it's very Miike. And if you know anything about Takashi Miike, again, ultra violent, like kind of grindhouse guy of Japan, like really has his own unique flavor for things. And it's clear that he saw the games, but he was just also like, okay, right, cool. Gonna take this, be back later, and I'm gonna give you a different version of it. But I'm loving both series. And so Blue Eye Samurai is the better one, but I like both. And if you're a samurai, ninja, medieval Japan anime fan, and you're waiting something to do better than Demon Slayer Season 3, come check out these this weekend for sure. So that's my little plug for that, just because it's awesome. And that's hitting anime. I think we are ready to talk about comics. Matthew, take it away.
Yeah, so as Kofi mentioned at the top of the show, you can check out, we talk about gods, we talk about Transformers 2, and actually about 5 or 6 other books, including books not from the big two, on the pull list on Comic Book Nation's YouTube channel and on our audio podcast feed. So you can definitely check out our full kind of 30-minute plus discussion there. But we are still going to be talking comics on this show as well. And I'm sorry, Janelle, that it had to be Batman of all the books I could pick, but it actually made sense because one of the last big series we talked about was Gotham War, and this is actually the pickup, like right after that, the next kind of big arc from Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez, and this one is Mind Bomb. And a lot of the things, obviously talking spoilers for this, but a lot of the things that were played up in Gotham War come to fruition here. It's kind of the thing of all the teases kind of lead here and setting up for Batman's next big arc. I've already talked a bunch. What I will say is that Jorge Jimenez is all like out of his mind in this issue. This issue is like beautiful. And then also, let me make sure, I hope I'm saying it right. Tomu Mori is also, as colorist, amazing. This issue is gorgeous. Janelle, what did you think of this? Are you still Batmaned out? How are we coming around? What are we thinking?
I think it's a unique perspective. And I really do appreciate different things going on with Batman. I listen. I like Batman. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not team Batman. But yes, I when you give me a Captain Marvel, it's more fun. Like Batman's more serious, but I appreciate it for what it is. And it really is absolutely stunning. Like this book is so gorgeous. I mean, even just that cover, I love all the like Joker ha-ha-has on the side. Yeah. I do really appreciate it. And I'm obviously getting more into it as we move and progress through these series because I do have the background now and I'm following things. And it just sparks curiosity of where we're going from here. So yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I only read 2 and both were basically like Batman. So I mean, yeah, it's great. Like I like reading comics, so I'm not going to complain.
Kofi, what did you think? And you can also tee up the next one because I know that was a big thing on your list.
Yeah, I think I liked this issue as a start for a new Batman arc. It's kind of like a good back to basics, a change status quo that's interesting. I like the backup story. I did not think that anyway, but I liked this individual issue. I like the artwork. I like the angles we're getting. I like that Batman. This is a classic Batman Joker showdown, but there are these new wrinkles like Batman of Zen-Ara, all this stuff that's happening. It feels like we're taking everything that's happened around here that Zdarsky has done. There's even mention of like Batman the Knight gets woven into this, like with the mentors and everything that are getting killed. So I feel like it's pulling everything together, and I like that. But I also think at the same time, and this is what I also included that you alluded to, is that the Batman universe is kind of messy right now. Like, I'm so confused because while I was getting this Batman Joker story that I should have been focused on, I was like, I was also, my brain couldn't let go of what the hell was happening in Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, which was a series that also wrapped up, which was a story of two mysterious Jokers at opposite ends of the country coming together and having a war to see which one's the real one. And so like all this stuff with the Joker and Red Hood and all this stuff is going on, and it's hard for me to ignore all of that. It just feels like none of it's cohesive. Like there's just pieces of Batman here, pieces of Batman there, and like all of that. Also, everything that's happened between Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, number 12, and this book makes me feel like Gotham War was just completely invalidated in a lot of ways. I think the only thing that really kind of makes sense out of there is that Bruce is now like broke and having to go back to Batman on a budget stuff. And of course, the Vandal Savage backup story where Vandal Savage now has this power base in Gotham. But it seems like Gotham War was shoehorned in just to set up a Vandal Savage story where Gotham is now like the depository for all this Lazarus energy or whatever it is. And like, it's interesting that he can't leave Gotham without losing his powers now. But like, again, it feels like there's a lot of ideas cooking.
Yeah.
But they're strangling what should be a simple story in this one, like a focused story. And so it's kind of this weird double feeling I'm having. But as an issue, I liked it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then,
don't ask me what happens when a multiverse full of new Jokers is out there, because that's still a thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I get it. But yeah, that's comics. Definitely for more, you can check out our full discussion.
All right. And one thing this show is always so big, it's impossible to cover everything. Netflix dropped a lot on us. People mentioned in the comics when we were talking about Blue Eye Samurai, but we did get a trailer yesterday, and it is the #1 trailer, ironically, on trending on YouTube right now, which is the first real trailer for Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender series, which is going to be a big one for us next year. If you guys don't realize that yet, sorry, springing this on my co-host there. Yeah, we're going to be into this because this is a big topic for us. One of the most famous anime in America of all worldwide of all time. We tried to get into it on this show again. I remember like Janelle and I, we went back and none of us really got into it. So I'm super curious how we're going to all fare when we got to break down the live action series, because yeah, we all know the Shyamalan movie and what happened there, but people seem to be really responding to this new version and what Netflix has done. This could be our next One Piece. It looks like.
I was going to say, I think One Piece has given me a lot of faith that I'm willing to give anything a shot in that regard, because that surprised me so much. And I never really warmed to the anime beforehand. Like it never really got me to the point of wanting to watch it. So I was just so floored with the live action. I think this looks gorgeous. My God. I mean, at least they're putting the money in, right? Like you can tell, like it's
that was
beautiful.
This looked gorgeous. It looked like Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I was like, okay, well, now that I'm seeing it like this, I'm in. Like I'm kind of in. So I'm really curious. Janelle, what did you think? Have you have a chance? Because I just dropped this on you guys.
Yes, I watched it during the comic chatter, and this is way more up my alley than the anime. So I'm very much looking forward to this. It looks very moving and much more serious than the actual anime. So that might tickle some people's fancy a little more. I might be one of those people. I don't know if it's gonna have like the same humor and like certain mannerisms and things that kind of threw me off. Like it kind of felt like a kid's show when I was watching it. So I think there's a ton of potential. It looks amazing. It looks moving. Like I felt moved watching the trailer. So that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Connor.
Looks great. Obviously a significant step up from the Shyamalan series. Big question, honestly, going into this, because it looks like they're going to follow the plot pretty much verbatim. So what really interested me was that we saw a few shots of, I think it's supposed to be Azula. So, and she plays a much more significant role after season 1. So to bring in elements like her into the show earlier, I think could make this, it would leave even the fans of the original show guessing a bit. And I think that's going to be interesting.
All right. Yeah, the creators have gotten a deal with the original creators did leave. They got in a deal. People are saying in the comments, and they're going to be doing Avatar Studios. Like, there's a whole thing they're doing. So they think they're working on a new animated series. I have to dip into that and look into that. But yeah, this is going to be one of our biggest pieces of content to talk about in 2024. So I'm glad to hear you guys are positive starting out. We'll see if that continues. All right, I think we've done the thing. We've gone everywhere. We've talked DC, we talked comic books, we talked Marvel, we talked TV, we talked movies, anime, gaming. We are Comic Book Nation, and we're the only show that's doing this all every week. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to our regular show watchers, subscribers, defenders out there, all you guys who kind of big us up and suggest us to people when they're like, I wish there was a show where people talked about, and you guys are like, there is one. We love you. Rywood, everybody, Damon, Treesus, and full Agents of Fandom, guys, we love you guys. Thank you for always tuning in. Be sure to subscribe if you're just getting into Comic Book Nation to our YouTube page and our audio platforms, because what did we put out this week? Like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of content this week? Yeah, make sure we got a whole multiverse expanded on our own. If you want to talk to us individually or just follow us, you can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Connor Casey CBS.
You can find me at Matt Aguilar CB.
And you can find me at Janelle Wheeler.
All right. That'll do it for this episode. We are Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Later.
Deuces.